We're here with Kim and Kelly, and we're going to be talking about the funding, the vision of Westlake Academy. And before we get started with that, tell me what you think is the most important thing, Kim.
Well, overall is funding. There's a lot of press around the $8.5 billion bill that our legislator passed. It helps a little bit, but it doesn't completely take care of the needs of our school. I was reading last night, Texas ranks 47th in per student funding. And that means we're about $4,000 short on average of the rest of the schools in this country. So clearly the foundation of what they're doing is critical to our success.
Yeah.
Kelly?
Absolutely. So funding is critical, and I'll tell you why. An IB and an International Baccalaureate education, which is what we offer here, is just inherently more expensive than a traditional education. So we know our expenditures are higher, and we know that we are funded at a lesser rate, which makes our challenge even greater than some schools' challenges. We're one of 13 IB continuum schools in Texas, which means we offer IB from kindergarten through 12th grade. And it's really a point of pride, and it's a point of specialty that just most schools don't have. And we want to make sure that we are competitive and that we're providing the service that our families expect.
Go back 13 IB.
So there's 13 IB continuum schools. And a continuum school means that we offer all the way from kindergarten through 12th grade in an IB education.
And that not only has funding challenges, but describe Westlake's unique funding setup that we've got here. How does it look from your eyes?
We are a one-of-one situation. So our charter is actually owned by the town, and so we get money from the state, but charter schools inherently from the state receive less money than ISDs do. So we already are facing a challenge there, and the town is supportive as our charter. They help bridge some of that gap, but it's still not enough. So we have the foundation, which is critical to our success. So every dollar that is received through the Blacksmith Fund goes directly back to being able to provide this educational opportunity, which I would equate on average of a private school education. And we're very fortunate to be able to offer that.
No doubt. Our school is funded from the TEA, and then the rest of that, another $3 million or so, is between the town of Westlake and then the foundation, all the work you do. And the foundation, I've said this before, if we didn't have the foundation, I'm not sure we would have a Westlake Academy, or it certainly wouldn't look like it is today.
What's the most important part of the foundation that contributes?
Well, it's just going out to, it's the Blacksmith Fund, it's going out and asking our parents on the kind of the per student request we have that adds up. I mean, that's critical for us. And I think whether you're a Westlake resident, whether you have kids in this school or not, this school is vitally important to our town for property values. The survey we did during the strategic plan, the school was like the #1 reason people move here. The realtors will tell you that. And I think under Kelly's leadership, it's going to be bigger and better than ever.
When we hear a lot about what you said is the parent participation, what is that? Quantify that. What? And I'm hearing you say it in dollar amount. Is that? It doesn't only come as dollar amount, but
no, it comes from. I mean, it comes from dollar amount. It comes from volunteer amount. I mean, it's really interesting. We're sitting in the Arts and Sciences building that the Lee Foundation actually gave the money to build, and then they've given some more money that we're in the process of doing in addition. So there's a lot of charitable families and parents. But it's a critical component to our funding mechanism.
But the dollar amount is important, especially leading into this year.
Yeah.
The Blacksmith has historically been an amount, and this year we're increasing that amount by $500,000.
Yeah.
That's a large ask, or what?
It is.
Talk a little bit about that.
So I think Kelly said something, and I didn't really realize this till last year, and we've spent a lot of time together. I mean, this is a private school education. It is, we have had a 100% graduation rate forever. We get our students, our children, in the best colleges in this country. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this. I just had a son that graduated, but I just learned a couple years ago that our average student, if you go to a college that takes IB and AP credits, they're getting 24 hours of college. There is real value in an IB diploma from Westlake Academy. So what we're asking is, our parents help us kind of with that private school tuition to help fund this school. And I'm sure Kelly will talk about, we have other programs we want to do. And I know we're introducing some this coming year, but we want to, again, make this the best school in the country.
Yeah, that return on investment is what you're describing.
Yes, well said.
And you are talking about a funding gap, not from the state. The state is funding state public school. So is the gap the icing on the cake, or is the gap to get it from a state-funded school to a private education? And then what does that mean?
That's a great question. So right now the gap is to get us just somewhat on an equal playing field with ISDs and where we would need to be. We do a lot with a very little here. And what we could do, and the potential is just untapped. And we, to Kim's point, we have a lot of ideas. We have a lot of programs. We're really pouring into the arts this year. We're adding a film program for our students who are more creatively inclined. We do a really good job with our math science here. We're very proud of that. But we know there's all kinds of learners, and we want to make sure that doors are open for those students also. We have a new theater teacher who has really come in very strong and is developing a great program for the students. We also have a new visual arts teacher who is skilled in like graphic design, which will be a whole new opportunity for our students to really leave here with not only a really strong educational background that the IB provides, but also real world marketable tools that they can, go into college with, go into the workforce with. So we're excited about those opportunities. We have other plans to there used to be a thriving robotics program here that kind of went by the wayside. We'd really like to get that reinstated and open that up for our students. We have a lot of things that we would like to do. We just need to make sure we have those financial supports in place to make this exactly the kind of opportunity that we want it to be.
So talk to me like I'm a parent. I'm going to enter my grandson into Westlake Academy. What would you say to motivate me to contribute to Blacksmith to get that level of education and quantify that? How much do you need from us?
That's a great question. So to answer that, what you can give, we are very happy to receive. And so we know that looks very different for some families than for others. I do not think that there is a better way to educate a child than through the International Baccalaureate program. It is a holistic approach to education that focuses on high quality, engaging academics. It requires a lot of students. It requires a lot of our teachers. You have to be a very specific kind of teacher to be successful in an IB program. We develop agency in students. We develop all these great character traits about being responsible and being caring and being of service to the world when they leave here, because that's the ultimate goal, is that we send students out of here ready for whatever is next. And at all times, we want them to go back to that core of those learning traits that they developed here in the IB program. It's about being critical thinkers. It's about consuming information responsibly. It's about sometimes agreeing to disagree. It's about civil discourse. All of those traits that are going to help them in those soft skills ways, which we know colleges and employers are looking for, and that also are just going to translate to a more successful life for them when they leave. And it's magic when it all comes together.
Well said. I am learning about the academic world and schools and the IB, but the IB is the gold standard of education. When you look it up, and exactly what Kelly said, the fun part for me, I retired a few years ago, and I've been, as I said, in public office, 2 years on council, so just wrapping up going to my 13th or 14th month as mayor and president of the board of trustees. I love being able to deal with a school, and because of athletics and my wife and I involved with the Booster Club, I keep track with some of our graduates. So one of my favorite kids at the University of Chicago, a physics major, she had a 4.0. We got another kid that's at Princeton, 4.0, I think both semesters. We got a bunch of kids at Texas A&M, but when our kids leave to go to college, which 100% of them do, they do very well. They're well prepared for college.
45%, and a lot of people don't realize this, 45% of students who come out of any high school program don't finish college.
Yeah.
A lot of them end up taking 6 years to complete. Every standard, every study that has been done shows that IB diploma students go into college more prepared and finish in a faster time than even students who come out of full AP programs. So we know what we're doing is working. And while we do focus a lot on academics in IB because it is the core of what this program is about, it is also about so many other things. And we are really proud of the students that are coming out of here and what they're contributing when they do leave.
It's not easy.
It's not an easy program. We call it a program of delayed gratification.
Yeah.
It is a lot of kind of trudging through everything that is asked of you and then realizing when you get to college that you are so much better prepared than most of your peers.
What does the parents giving, when they write that check to the foundation immediately gives it over to the academy, what does that pay for? And maybe that's directed to you, Kelly. What do they get for that?
So what people need to understand is a very large portion of that goes literally to what you see here. It goes to books. It goes to keeping lights on. It goes to air conditioning. It goes to repairs. Like last year, most people probably wouldn't know this. We handled it in-house. We had the elevator go out. It was $8,000 to repair that. So it's all of the things that go into providing a beautiful environment like we are able to have here, but it requires a lot of upkeep, mowing, any kind of concrete repair that comes up, anything that goes on, and that's not even talking about trying to add things that we would like to add. That is just general maintenance and functioning of the building, training our teachers, making sure that everybody has a whiteboard in their room, which you don't think about, but these are all things that cost real money, and unfortunately there's just not enough in that state budget to account for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the average resident could say, my God, the state just passed $8.5 billion. Like, what's wrong with y'all? Well, probably half of that is for teacher raises, which we're very supportive of, right? We are thrilled about that.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think what our legislators are missing a little bit is just the ongoing daily, monthly, annual operations of the school. As we said, there was a $55 increase to the basic allotment. We've had 20% inflation. You know this better than I do over the last several years. We should have at least got a $1,300 increase to the basic allotment. We got 55. So just those basic costs, when we have an air conditioner go out or we have an elevator go out, it's just like you run your household budgets. It's just running, your facilities.
Well, you know how being a parent at a school, you're not always in the know. You hear from your kids, they tell you something, and you're not sure to believe them all the way. But tell us a behind-the-scenes example of what you're talking about as it relates to IB and it relates to Westlake Academy, something that's going on behind the scenes that parents we just don't know.
Goodness, I would say there's just so much. Every day, teachers show up and they are doing the work of curriculum planning. So we've spent the summer kind of revamping some areas that we're offering our students as far as classes, as far as making sure that our teachers are aligned with their skill sets are aligned with exactly the particular course they're going to be teaching, the grade level that they're going to be teaching. So that area of reflectiveness is kind of part of an IB education, which is something that we ask of our students almost every day in the classes that they're taking, and taking the knowledge that they're learning and then applying it to real world situations, asking them to think a little deeper, asking them to produce on a different level. And when I say it's happening on a daily basis, it really is. I would encourage anyone who would like to come up and tour our classrooms and to see this in action, just to really get a feel for how our students, as young as 5, 6, 7 years old, you'll see them in the hallway with clipboards, making observations about the world around them, and then taking that information, that data back. Even that young, and understanding what that means when we're applying it in different situations. And it is so fun to watch. And that spark of learning that then carries up all the way through junior, senior year, when we are asking them to do college coursework across the board in 11th and 12th grade. Every single class that they're in becomes a college level course. And so the foundation that comes up with those students through the primary years program, the middle years program, to see that come to fruition during 11th and the 12th grade is amazing.
Yeah.
Kim, talk about your day in life. Elected official, most schools have a school board. Mm-hmm. And a superintendent, and
right.
that rolls up, and that's self-contained.
Right.
Our structure is different than that.
Yeah, we've been the only municipality in the state of Texas that has managed a school. Now, I think there's a new one in Houston that's popped up that has a charter school, but for years we're the only one. And the way politics go in Westlake, every mayor's election, there's a call to have a separate school board. But as I've been kind of neck deep in this now for 13, 14 months, I actually love this model, right? Because most of our board members have had kids in the school or have kids in the school, so they're familiar with the school. But then when we're making decisions on the town, whether it's development or whatever, we're always thinking about the school. And you could look at some of our surrounding towns. Their city councilors making decisions that's not necessarily good for their schools. So I actually love this model. But I want to go back to your question that Kelly answered, that what most people don't see. I was sitting home, I can't remember, everything runs together, and they said, hey, our fifth graders are on the news.
Yes.
For the project they're doing. And these 3 fifth graders were doing a project over vaccines, and they were interviewed. And the teacher, I heard the comments, teacher like, oh, my goodness, these kids are fifth graders. And at council meeting, I said, you remember that show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Nope. No, I mean, we were so proud of those children. And then the other thing for me, just having a graduating senior, the amount of work that our teachers, our staff, administration, our parents do for the graduating seniors. Senior sunrise, sunsets, lunches, all the activities. I mean, the month of May is, oh my goodness, it's a lot. But I mean, we are a small school in the middle of one of the biggest metroplexes around, but it feels like a small school. We know, I made the comment when I look out. When I look at our graduating seniors, I know almost every parent. I know most of the kids. And then, I hate to say, I probably paid more attention this year because Jack graduated, but the level of academic accomplishment at the award ceremony, and I think the articles coming out in Stroll magazine, I mean, we had the highest amount of, I think, AP with distinction. I mean, you just look at what that class did, and it's every class that comes in, but it's really quite amazing. And my job as mayor and president of the board of trustees is to make sure the town is running and we get the needed development and we're growing in the right way. But it's for the school, my job is to be a cheerleader. And Kelly has really brought that to the light of promoting our school. Whether you have kids in or not, it is critical to our town. I think our property values create the demand for people wanting to move here. And again, do everything I can to get the resources to move the school to the next level, along, obviously, with our wonderful board.
Your term ends in 27?
26. We're 2-year terms.
Okay, 2-year terms. So just looking in a short horizon then, what would you call a successful vision for the Westlake Academy?
Well, I think a successful vision. Look, we're there. I think we get the funding.
And doing what you're doing.
Keep going. We have a big ask for the foundation to increase the money you're collecting. I really want us to get our corporate partners more involved. We have 3 world-class corporations. I think we can do a better job working with them and having them participate in our school.
So take that out to 2030. So it used to be so far away, but now only 5 years.
Yeah. Look, my goal as mayor, and I hope I'm mayor for a while. There's a lot of things that I do want to get done, and one of those is we have just a fabulous board. I'm so proud of that board and all the work they do. Our legislation meets again in 2 years, and we will be well prepared. And there's 2 elections coming up. We have a Senate race coming up in our district, and we have a House race coming up in our district. I will personally be very involved in that to see who is running and who I will support, because it's very important. One thing we learned, and I don't say this to be critical, but we need people that understand our local issues, not only for the town, but for the school as well. So my entire vision, and I may or may not get this, I would like to make the school as independent as possible. So I would love for the foundation to be able to do the great job you're doing. I'd like to be able to take the town funding down over time, at the same time having Kelly and her team getting to do everything we want. So we are fiscally responsible on the town and school side. That would be my goal. We'll see if we get there. I need a little help from our legislators to get there.
Same question to you, Kelly. 2030, where is your vision for Westlake Academy?
I love that delineation because that's our next 5-year evaluation.
Oh.
So the minute the 5-year evaluation was done in May, we immediately started switching to, okay, here are our goals for the next 5 years. And so what you want to see here is just everyday true and truer fidelity to the IB standards and curriculum, and that is really what sets us apart. If we're doing that really well, then we're marketable in a way that other schools can't be, because we're doing the thing that we are called to do, which is to provide a IB education for students. So making sure that we're developing that program out, which again means pouring into our arts in a different way than we have been. I think also outside of IB, we have some goals around just making sure that all of what we can offer students as part of that holistic experience, because IB is about balance. So we want to make sure that we're seeing kids who have those athletic opportunities. They have those opportunities for competition, which we know are so important for students. Academic competitions, yearbook competitions. We have a very involved DECA club. We have student council that we're hoping to develop out a little bit further, just to make a more engaged experience for our students, so that when they come here, we know that they're getting that academic preparation, but they're also having those things that they're not going to remember a math lesson per se, but they are going to remember the late nights they spent working on the yearbook. They're going to remember learning how to write a newspaper in a journalism elective class. And so those sorts of things are ancillary to an IB education, but also important to the entire student experience. So earlier when we talked about where do these funds go, none of that sounds very exciting when we talk about keeping the lights on or making sure the air conditioning is working. But any amount above and beyond that we're able to get, we are able to then pour back into programs and resources for students to really complete their experience here, which is exactly what we want to be able to do.
Yeah, how do you balance the extracurricular activities and the rigor of the education of international baccalaureate?
That's a great question, and that's something that we work on not only as students but as a staff. We are constantly asking ourselves what fits, what doesn't fit, what would work. So one of the things that we've done for next year is we have revamped the master schedule for our 6th through 12th graders to allow for time during the school day, so that we kind of we kind of do an addition to their very intense learning, and then they can go to these specialized classes where they can do creative writing, or they can do journalism, or they can do yearbook or student council, and kind of have that time for 45 minutes at a time to kind of just disengage from the rigor and engage in something that might be a little bit a different part of their brain engaging and giving them those opportunities. Most of that had been done outside of school time prior to next year, and so, or this come in a few weeks. It's not next year now. Yeah, 2 weeks. But so we're very proud to be rolling out this opportunity to students for our older kids. And we've also looked at our primary year schedule and really made sure that we are not doing anything that detracts from that content area knowledge. We felt like there was a better flow that could occur from the week into the day. From the day into the week, and how we looked at the blocks of those times to make sure that students were staying as engaged as possible. Because once you get into learning in IB, you don't want to have to break that learning to go do something else. So we really did a lot of evaluation about how we're using time here, and we think we're going to see some great outcomes from that.
And I can't believe I've sat this long and you mentioned athletics. So
yes, that's right. I brought it up. Kim did not. But.
Look, I got to coach track for a few years, and and hopefully I'll get to do it again at some point in time. We're not South Lake Carroll in sports, right? We don't compete at that level. We have a wonderful array of sports. In our 21 years, we've won 52 varsity state championships, right? I'd put that up against anybody. 70% of our students are student athletes, so they find the time. And I remember when I coached track, we would be at track meets, and they would be in between their events, and they would be studying and reading, a couple of the kids, and doing it. But they make time for it, and I do think that mind and body in athletics is very important. And I think we've done a great job, and I think with Sarah Jones coming in as our new athletic director, I'm very excited about that. If you look out back, I don't know if I've ever been as excited about our new synthetic turf multi-purpose field, and we made additions to the gym a few years ago. Thanks to a very generous donation, a lot of the turf field was funded by private donations. There's a lot of wonderful stuff going up and on athletics, and giving our kids not only the academic opportunities but the athletic opportunities as well.
Well, National Giving Day is coming up.
Yes, sir.
It comes up fast every fall, and there's a theme emerging in investing for impact. You've already talked about some of the value that is created from a Westlake degree, classes at Westlake. Why is a parent's giving to the Blacksmith Fund so important? What in your mind is critical component of that giving?
I think when you give to something, you are saying this thing is worth my investment. And so I think it starts a conversation at home about the value of being a member of the Westlake Academy educational community. And it's what we want to see in every student, in every classroom. They are invested in the opportunity that they've been given. This is a lottery-based opportunity, which means, we have a waiting list of 1,500 students. So when you are fortunate enough to have your number pulled or to be able to get in as a Westlake resident, there then becomes what we hope a reciprocal relationship around understanding what kind of opportunity that really is. And so that financial piece, while it's not the full indication of investment, it is a component of the investment, just like volunteering, just like being present, just like responding when a teacher needs to email and get information. Those are all signs that you are engaged with what is happening here. And that's comforting to us, because we know then that we have a community that is all moving in the same direction, but also it's important for your child to see that you are investing in their future, in their current education.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, you mentioned return on investment. If you think about, and this doesn't go for every college, right? But we have so many kids go to Texas A&M, and we go, as I said, every school in the country. But you look at a year at college, most of these kids are going in as sophomores because of the credit they're getting from this school. And, you just look at that, that's really something. I don't know, a lot of schools can say that. So, and I love what Kelly said. Yeah, you be part of the family, whether you have kids or not. We are, Westlake is very unique. The town of Westlake is very unique. We have 2,000 residents, give or take. Our daytime population is about 23,000 because of our corporate partners, but we are a small town. We run into, as I said, I look out in the audience at graduation or at the senior banquet. I know all these parents. It's wonderful. But we do welcome people to want to invest and be part of it and help make this school even bigger and better than what it is.
Well, we covered a lot of ground, Is there anything I forgot to ask, or any other comments that you guys would like to make?
You know, I guess my only comment is you turn on the news, you're seeing schools struggle, even with this bill passed by our legislators. You're seeing schools get closed down. You're seeing a lot of issues, capacity issues, just lack of funding. I mean, thank goodness we don't have that because of the foundation, the generosity of our givers. But when, you know, all this is going on around us, and it's our neighbors, I mean, we all know what's going on around the 3 towns around us, it's refreshing to me to know that the job that we're doing for not only the Westlake students, you know, 40% of the school, give or take, is made up of Westlake residents. The other 60%, which I'm very proud of, are the lottery kids. And having gone to my first lottery breakfast last year, I never really liked the term lottery, but these parents think they hit the lottery. They were so excited to get into school, and I think clearly understand the opportunities their children have to be able to go to this school. So.
Yeah. I would echo all of that, and I also just would like to say just a huge thank you. Everything that is done by our parents, by the board, by our athletic boosters, by what's the group?
HOC.
Sorry, HOC. Yes, I'm sorry. The HOC escaped me, but everything that everybody does is so amazing, and this school would not be what it is without the opportunities that are provided through those groups and the funding and the parents believing enough to go to HOC meetings and find out how to get plugged in and to show up at games and work the gate and work the concessions and decorate. I mean, I could go on and on of what I've watched parents contribute to and invest in this year. And it is the difference between just coming and doing, quote, school on paper and doing an entire experience of what school can be. And
last thing, when I had kids later in life, we have newborn, and they're going, oh, enjoy this. It'll go by so fast. Like, please be quiet. I'm literally just trying to get through the day, the night, the week. But, you know, I try to tell parents that, like, I think we had the biggest number ever of kids, which I think speaks well to the health of the school. I think we had 26% of our graduating class had been here since kindergarten, my son being one of those. Think about that. With all the educational choices you have, we had that many kids that have been here since kindergarten. But I do tell parents, it does go fast. The 4 years of high school goes like that. And what I love about this, you know, our faculty ask for parents to get involved. They want parents to get involved. And I got to coach my son in track, you know, and it is, you can't do that at other schools. So, you know, my other plea is to parents, not only for their financial, but get involved, spend time with your kids, because it does go by very quick.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much.